everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Legal Tech. This episode is going to focus more on tech than law as we will be discussing all things AI with Ramprakash Ramamoorthy, our AI Research Director. So, welcome to the show, Ram. We are so glad to have you on.
I appreciate the opportunity, Subha, and I'm thrilled to be in the conversation with you.
Thank you, Ram. So, you have had such an impressive journey at Zoho. You started off as an intern and now you are an AI Research Director. So, what motivated you to get to where you are now? And do you have those moments that stood out in your whole journey at Zoho?
Oh, well, yeah, Shubha, it's been 13 years now. I don't know if I can pick out moments that stand out, but the journey itself has been really fulfilling. I started off as a starry-eyed intern, worked fresh out of college into Zoho. Zoho was a very, very small company back then. We were a 1,500 people company. And actually what I really love about the challenges and the opportunities that come at Zoho is the very long-term nature of things. I mean, when I came in, I was actually shocked to know that we don't run on hyperscalers. And we're trying to build our own data centers and infrastructure and everything from the operating system that runs on the bare metal in our data centers to the fancy AI stack that we have. All of it has been handmade, curated, built it in-house. And that long-term commitment is a rarity in the technology industry. Any company that would want to dabble with something as serious as AI would probably go on a headhunting spree or would probably go on an acquisition spree to get things started. But I really love the way this company started off with an intern. And well, the fact that you spend 2 years on one problem, you're going to be the expert on it. Yes. And that the long-term foothold to everything we do, that ownership that we have, everything from the operating system that runs in the data center to the mobile apps, to enterprise search, to the enterprise AI that we have, that is a very unique thing in the company. And AI as a field, I think, you can see all the white strands on my head. It changes really fast. Sometimes it looks like an opportunity. Sometimes it looks like a challenge. It could be really overwhelming. And the state of the art changes overnight. So to keep up with that is a challenge. Like I said, sometimes I enjoy doing it. Sometimes it does burn me out because you could have seen all the innovations that are happening. I mean, overnight there's a large language model. Then there is an agent wave that is coming up. And the problem with the technology is it's also overhyped. So to cut through the hype and see the reality, to see what real value that the technology has to offer is one interesting aspect of my job. So in essence, I've enjoyed working with the company. I still am in the honeymoon phase with the company. And I love the challenges that are presented to me.
I'm sure your path will be inspiring to a lot of our listeners. So now let's talk about Zia. How has users across the Zoho ecosystem embraced it? And do you have any standout case study or a customer story that you would be excited to share?
Right. So we have Zia across the 55 plus apps that are live in the market today. But it started as a very humble experiment. In fact, when we initially started, it was all about trying to see if there is a fit in the enterprise. Because when we started, AI was more of a consumer-grade tech. E-commerce companies doing recommendations, OTT platforms trying and doing, people who watch this also watched and things like that. So our first idea was to see if AI would be useful in the enterprise. Because we had very limited training data, very limited amount of compute that is on offer. I mean, think about it. We're not talking about Google scale, Facebook scale data here in the enterprise. We're talking about a few hundred rows of data, but the quality of prediction has to be top notch. In fact, we started off by replacing existing features with an ML-based technique. Things like anomaly detection, things like forecasting, which were based on traditional statistical metrics, were silently replaced by an ML algorithm that learned from the past data and understood what is normal at a given point in time. This was the personalization that we started. And then cut to 2018, again, that was a peak of the whole conversational bot hype cycle. We had Alexas, we had Siris, and that's when we thought we should brand all our AI efforts under one umbrella, and that's how Zia was born. I mean, Zoho's intelligent assistant, or we started naming things Zia. We started bringing in these conversational bot, and And that was the time when, you have a mobile interface, you have a web interface, you also have a conversational interface to your product. So this was how it started. And then slowly we started seeing traction. Initially, it was very difficult to get traction among users because look at the target audience that we do. The people who use Zoho are experts in the domain. And then you put in an AI model that was trained over the last 4 weeks of data. It had to be really better than the expert who has owned the problem for years. So this was a challenge. But one thing that I have observed over all the customer feedback and testimonials that I have received, I have worked with, is it's not those game-changing, groundbreaking, mega AI feature that always gets the appreciation. It's those little nifty pieces. I remember vividly, sometime in 2015, when we launched our first set of AI features, it was very difficult we were consistently refreshing our mailboxes to see if there is any feedback from a customer, buckets or brickbats, whatever it is, tell me what is happening. 2 weeks later, the first feedback that we received was about a very little feature in Zoho Creator, our low-code application, where we had recommended icons when you create a form. So somebody created an ambulance usage report. Then we had the hospital icon, the ambulance icon being automatically recommended. This was a very little fun project that we did. We were thinking about other bigger AI features that we had launched. But what got a customer so excited and made them send an email to us was this little icon recommender. Even today, after all LLMs, all agents, I recently had a conversation with a customer. They were super appreciative of the auto assignment of tickets in Zoho Desk. We have Zoho Desk as our customer support tool. We have intelligence in such a way that where you can draft responses, where you can automatically answer L1 questions. But what really impressed the customer was that auto assignment. Let me explain you why. Typically, when a support ticket comes in, there is a human being who reads the ticket and then assigns it to the right person. Now, let's say that human being has gone on a coffee break. There goes 15 minutes. Then he assigns it to a person. Now, that person is away from their desk. And when they come back, look at this. For a support manager, a very little thing like auto assigning based on the availability of a support agent is matter because that error perpetuates across the system. And that leads to a series of SLA violations. So I always believe it's these little nifty things that are very, very domain-centric, that are very useful for a day-to-day practitioner, stands out than, hey, I can generate a whole essay for you. I can draft your email responses. I can give you a summary of, yes, they are useful. I'm not brushing away that they are not useful, but it's these little features that make the life of the users much better.
So it's always about the little things, right? And the name Zia, how did you come up with it?
All right. So I think it came from a couple of, we were brainstorming as a lot of ideas and, I'm really, really bad at naming things.
Okay.
The name that I recommended was Chennai, CHENN.ai.
Chennai.
It had AI in it, and we are in Chennai.
Okay.
But then Raju Vegasna, our chief evangelist, coined this term Zia, Zoho's intelligent assistant. And it also came from Rodrigo Vaca, who leads our Brazil efforts. And in Spanish, IA is Inteligencia Artificial. Okay. We call it AI, they call it IA. So it's Zoho's Intelligencia Artificial. Okay. So that was, and today we just use Zia as a noun. And all features, all AI features are brought under the Zia umbrella.
That sounds excellent, Ram. Let's go to the next question. So now many businesses are expecting flexibility with AI, right? So is there a plan to allow businesses integrate third-party AI models with Zoho's applications? And if that's on the table, what do you expect to be the pros and cons, especially when it comes to privacy and security?
Great question, Subha. Given how AI has evolved over the years, it's no longer just within the application. Okay. So AI has eroded all data boundaries, all permission layers, all app boundaries, and so on. So we at Zoho, we consciously believe that it's important to open up this ecosystem because we are also going up market. We are also evolving as a platform. We have all these little pieces that become integratable with everything. And we think intelligence is also going to be decentralized. So this is why we built an AI bridge where now let's say your organization has a working relationship with OpenAI or with Microsoft Azure for their intelligence APIs or with Google's Vortex. Then you can put in your keys within the Zoho ecosystem, and Zoho uses these models in such a way that your business context remains within your enterprise ChatGPT account or enterprise Google Vortex account. And now let's say you are somebody who does not have the expertise or who does not have a relationship with OpenAI, then what you can do is you can use our self-hosted models. So the guarantee that we always give you, the privacy guarantee, that your data does not leave the Zoho ecosystem. We have self-hosted models like Llama, Mistral, Gwen, and a bunch of other applications as well. So where the Zoho does not leave the data does not leave the Zoho ecosystem, and it stays within Zoho Cloud. So the choice is with the customer. And we believe, say for instance, for some cases where, let's say we have customers from China, Japan and Korea, CJK, the standard LLM's performance isn't as great when compared to the likes of Gwen or DeepSeek for local language use cases. So customers want a choice. So we open this up, and we are also building our own large language model. So that will be available as one of the options. So customer will always have the choice to choose. But this is going to be a privacy, security thing we have had. We have heard cases about companies leaking sensitive information into large language models. This has always been the case. In fact, when we started off, one primary reason that we built a translation and a grammar engine in 2018 was when GDPR came in. A lot of these enterprise users were copy-pasting sensitive information into tools that were built for the consumer just to translate, just to check the grammar. They have an extension that reads through all sensitive content. Now, that sensitive content could have API keys. That sensitive content could have PIIs of your customers. I mean, Zoho's customers. And look at, you never read the privacy policy of that. Now, you bring that within the enterprise editor. Then we saw a lot of value. But increasingly, these LLMs are becoming more and more enterprise friendly. So having an enterprise account with any model service provider also guarantees that they will not be using your data to train it. But it's also important for your organization's data to remain with your organization's context. Have one account so that there is no mismatch of context and all that. So in essence, we strongly believe as a company, we have to open it up. But then we also have to offer these choices where privacy is guaranteed, because the customer trusts Zoho. And if Zoho is going to send the data to third party, then that's not acceptable. So build those LLM capabilities within. But if they have a working relationship with some other model service provider, then you have the option to do it.
Okay. So we will never be compromising on privacy and security, right?
Privacy and security has been, even before these LLMs and AI, all of it, we never had ads in our free tiers. Okay. We never use any of the trackers. In fact, we are one of the industry gold standard because we strongly believe your data is your data and you own it.
Okay.
Right? In the consumer world, we don't pay for our search engines. We don't pay for our social networks. But I don't want my enterprise data to be sold to somebody so that I get subsidized enterprise software. I am paying for my software. I own the data, and that intelligence is only going to be used by me. I mean, look at this case where we have this best time to contact a customer. And now let's say you are an insurance service provider in India and you've been using Zoho for years. And then I'm your competitor. I sign up to Zoho. And now if Zoho were to use your data and recommend the best time to contact my customer, then that's basically selling your business secrets to me, right? And we will never do that. The privacy promise is still intact.
That's good to hear. So the Nvidia partnership, it's a really big milestone, and with over $20 million invested over the last year, it shows us how serious we are about AI and what has this collaboration unlocked for us until now.
That's a good question. I think we are one of the biggest consumers of Nvidia in India, primarily. And today, AI has become a hardware game, right? So it's not about how much of a data you have, how much of a customer base you have. It's all about how many GPUs do you have. It is boiled down to that thanks to all these crazy LLMs. We've been working with a lot of hardware vendors, including Intel, AMD, Xilinx, which is an AMD group company. Again, this is a part of our long-term strategy. We just don't rent out GPUs, but instead we tinker with it. We've been, in fact, we are building India's first GPU-powered databases, right? Generally, GPUs are considered to be either a gaming engine or a blockchain, Bitcoin mining engine or a AI powering thing. But allowing us to use these hardware helps us cater to enterprise customers better when using on databases. So again, our relationship with these hardware vendors, including Nvidia, doesn't stop at a consumer level. We're more of an engineering partner with them. We work closely with them. Particularly working with Nvidia has helped us open up Nvidia's software stack so that we take 100% advantage of the hardware underneath. Okay. So there are H100 GPUs from Nvidia, and then there are Nvidia's inference pipelines. There are Nvidia's training tools that help us extract more juice out of the hardware. And that translates into value for our customers. So this is going to be a long-standing partnership. Again, like I said, not just with Nvidia, we work with other hardware vendors too, but it's a lot of an engineering partnership than a typical buyer-seller relationship.
So when the internet first emerged, there was a huge wave of excitement followed by years of innovation that completely changed how we live and work. So now there's a similar buzz around AI. As a research leader, from your perspective, where do you see all this heading?
That's a mind-boggling question, I would say. I mean, if you think about it, it all started with the dream of computing. There were mainframes. Then there was this ambitious goal of putting a personal computer in every person's house.
Okay.
Then came PCs. Then came, what if I connected all of these PCs together? And networks came, and then came the internet, which is just a network of all computers connected with each other. And then came software distribution. So internet enabled better software distribution. And today we are streaming everything, right? We don't download music anymore. We don't download movies anymore. We don't buy CDs anymore. All of it is on the cloud. Just have a very thin client, go look up an URL, and then you have the world's knowledge in front of you. Okay. And I see AI as a natural progression to this. You've connected world's knowledge to a whole network, and then you have a simple summarizing capability. That's what your LLMs are. Ask any question. Here is somebody who has read through the entire internet, and they can answer you. Your question could be as simple as, hey, is tooth fairy real? Or it could be as simple as, it could be as difficult as, what are the potential cures for a very rare form of cancer? Now, today what you have to do is painstakingly go research through the internet. Or, that is yesterday already. Yesterday what you had to do was you had to read through tons of journals, tons of brochures, all served to you on the internet. Now, there is a model that has been trained on the entire universe, that has been trained on all content that's ever created. And now you can just go ask a question. It sifts through the content and gets you the right answer. So in a way, I see this innovation as a natural progression of technology from mainframes to PCs to internet. And then here we have a beautiful internet summarizer. Interestingly, it's important for everybody to ride this wave. Now that is where I see the gap. Because you think about it, leaders of mainframe were not the leaders of PCs. Leaders of PC manufacturing were not leaders of internet. Leaders of internet, will they be the leaders of LLM? We don't know yet. Because we see that search engine traffic is dwindling now. Now everything becomes an answering engine. And the whole foundation on which we built internet, where you have a search engine, you make your website search engine friendly, and the search engine will divert traffic to you, is now going away. How does an answering engine, how does a large language model redirect traffic to your website? That is still an unknown, but still content is the king. The way to ride this wave, it's important to be relevant. It's important to think long term. Now, all of a sudden, we see a lot of companies in the SaaS space becoming AI companies overnight. Just renaming the whole company, renaming their user conferences. Should you be doing that? No. I think this is a natural, you just look at the SaaS infrastructure. We started off with independent tools. Then we started off with cloud software. And then we had mobile apps. Then we had the whole conversational wave. And now we are in the LLM wave. So your workflow still remain the same. Somebody who's signing an agreement has to do the same workflow. That's not going to change. But the tool was on-premise, on their system. Then the tool became online. You had to point to an URL. Then the tool became, it became back to a mobile app. The workflow is still the same. But then you have these, lot of times when such technologies explode, you have bubbles popping up where features masquerade as products masquerade as companies. But the whole idea is you are trying to solve a business's problem. In the context of B2B SaaS, you're trying to solve a problem for a customer. It could be a legal signing workflow. It could be onboarding a new recruit. It could be handling an escalation that happened with your customer. So these things are still remaining intact. So I think as a company, what we do is really right, where we don't hype technology. We think of this as a natural progression. We started as on-premise tools. We rode the cloud wave. We rode the mobile wave. We are riding the AI wave, and we are still relevant. So it's important to play the long game and see these technologies as natural progression of what was there. That is the approach that Zoho has taken. I would advise the same to customers as well. See, broadly, whatever we do is digital transformation. When we started off, digital transformation was moving a paper signing agreement to having it on the web, to being sent it as a PDF attachment over an email so that it stays as a digital record. So a system of records is now becoming a system of intelligence, right? But the process, underlying process, the entities, there's a person who writes the agreement, there's a person who signs it, there's a witness to it. All of it are still solid, rock solid. So it's important to look at the long game, even for our customers. It's important to look at this as a natural progression of technology than something crazy is going to happen, something big is happening. You need not have that fear of missing out is what I would recommend.
So very well said, Ram. I kind of got nostalgic there when you talked about CDs and downloading music. Those were the days, right? So yeah, for the next question, when it comes to the future of AI, there's a growing debate, right? Some people say it's just a friendly tool that was built to be obedient. And there are the others who say it's more dangerous than we think it is and that we might have already lost control of it. So what's your take?
Well, I think, like we discussed, it's a natural progression of technology. There are goods and there are bads. But it still boils down to the fundamentals.
Okay.
Right? Now, you have a smartphone and smartphone knows everything about you. The smartphone knows that somebody is broke, but it still keeps pushing them to upgrade to the latest version of the same smartphone. The smartphone knows that somebody is diabetic or pre-diabetic, but still pushes them to order that ice cream or that milkshake late in the night.
Okay.
Now you see it's not the technology per se, but it's all about your data is your data and it has to work for you. It has to push me to say, hey, go exercise more. Hey, save up more. You're not saving up enough. But it pushes you to go buy that new fancy stuff on a monthly plan, on an EMI. And this is where I see the difference.
Okay.
Your free software, your free tools are still taking a lot of your data and then using it. And we see this as a result of frauds. I mean, today, if you're not exercising the right privacy controls on your social media, with just about 2 to 3 photos, with just about 1 minute clip of you speaking, it's very easy to generate a deep fake of you. And what was only meant for politicians, leaders, cine actors is now hitting home. Somebody calls my mom and says, hey, I'm stuck in this shop. Can you transfer so much money to this shopkeeper? I'm sure she would do it. And this is what we're talking about. This is the bad side of I think it's a bad side of the internet. It's not because, but it's getting exacerbated. It's getting accelerated because AI is able to do a lot of things. AI is able to generate a lot of malware. AI is able to generate deepfakes at scale. All of this is happening. But on the hindsight, on the good side, education becomes much easier. I mean, whatever it is, you are a chat away. It could be a question on astrophysics. It could be a very silly, dumb question, which you might be too scared to ask a professor or too scared to ask a colleague. And even within the enterprise, your data becomes super accessible. Think about it. You're joining a company as big as Zoho. We have about 18,000 people. And let's say you want to know if the company would reimburse your travel on Chennai's metro rail system. Who do you ask that? It's a dumb question to ask your manager. You don't know. I mean, your colleague who sits right next to you does not use the metro. They stay close by. So they don't know the answer. Or should you be emailing HR for this? No. There is a friendly chatbot. Just go ask the chatbot and it's able to give you the information. Look at the kind of employee productivity that it brings in. We are in a place where both customer retention and employee retention is very hard now. So your customer experience matters. Your employee experience matters even more. Give them a bad laptop, give them bad tools to work with, you won't have employee retention. Give a customer a good product but very bad digital interface, because the first thing any customer interacts with any brand today, you're going to buy a coffee or you're going to buy a car, the first interaction is going to be with a website or with an app. And you're going to do that really bad, then customer retention is going to be a tricky one. Your competitor who has an underwhelming product but better digital interface to work with is going to eat a lot of your pie. So, in essence, I would say there are good things, there are bad things, but the bad things are still not end of the world. You can exercise proper sanity, you can exercise data control. How much of data do you generate? Who is going to use all that data? Same to enterprise. How much of data does this enterprise generate? What all software vendors have access to this data? Do you keep vetting their privacy policy periodically? Do you do audits in such a way that your data is your data and it's only being used for your benefit? So maintain basic digital sanity. AI is going to be a boon to you. Misplace any of these, somebody is going to take advantage of you using all these AI tools.
So I never knew that my phone knew that I was broke. So that was quite enlightening for me. And now we'll move on to the next question. One of the biggest concerns people have about AI is its impact on jobs. There's this growing fear that AI might replace a huge number of jobs from legal to finance to even for jobs in creative fields. Do you think this fear is valid?
I think AI is still an enabler than a replacer. Today's technology can only augment human beings. The final decision is naturally going to be taken by a human being in that field. That said, the two biggest gaps that I see with AI, so that we can reinforce ourselves that our jobs are safe, one is tactical intelligence and second is common sense. Let me walk you through that. Think about tactical intelligence, right? So you know what to do next. And you have to ask an LLM to let you know what to do next. So if you think of an LLM as a summarizer, this fear would a summarizer replace your job? No. LLM can beautifully summarize the internet, can beautifully summarize the Bible, can beautifully summarize the Bhagavad Gita and Quran and so on. But the idea is there is no tactical intelligence to it. It does not think like you do. It can only mimic what is ever written on the internet. It cannot generate a new patent for you. It cannot come up with something original. The second thing is common sense. So what is common sense? Common sense is something that you do not read. You do not read from a book. You do not read something and get common sense. So interestingly, I've been observing this space very closely. How good is this AI in common sense, this LLM in common sense? And there is a very good pattern that I noticed. Every time there is a common sense benchmark that comes in, there are so many common sense benchmarks that are built for LLMs. And the current generation of LLMs, whenever a new benchmark comes, always scores 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. And these questions typically look like this. I am watching sunset at the lake bund. I turn right and then I walk 10 steps. Then I turn around 90 degrees and I find an ice cream kiosk. I go buy an ice cream. Which direction am I facing? I would say this is something that a 5th grader would be able to solve. And then you have multiple choice questions. And the moment a benchmark comes, every LLM performs poorly. Okay. Then comes a next version of the same LLM. There is a version 0 to version 0.1 or version 1 to 1.1 comes in. That new version of the LLM scores 8 out of 10. Because it has learned from the benchmark. Because when you launch a benchmark, you also give the right answer. So it has gone and mimicked, it has gone and it has gone and learned all that And now it knows, oh, you're looking at the sunset, then you're turning 90 degrees, then you're turning right and walking. It knows what the answer is. You see that this is not how common sense works. So now you would be able to answer that. I'm looking at sunset. Okay, I'm facing the west. Then I'm turning right and walking. Then I'm turning 90 degrees. You would be able to mentally do that and give it an answer. So as long as AI does not have tactical intelligence and common sense, it's very difficult to replace humans at jobs. Some job descriptions might vary, but again, the job itself might not go away. I see this as an enabler because we see a lot of newer roles coming in. For example, we hire a lot of annotators. We hire a lot of data curation engineers. These were job descriptions that didn't exist before. Yes, there is going to be a lot of productivity enhancement, but what we have seen in Zoho Corp as a company, when we use AI, is only a 10 to 30% improvement in productivity. It's not a 10x as influencers on the internet would claim. It's never, and if somebody claims that, I would be happy to go and study that. We see that a 10 to 30% improvement. In fact, we recently had a US fintech company letting go of all their customer support engineers to use AI. I really appreciate that. We need some such bold first mover companies to take that risk and tell the world what is happening. And you know what? In just about 3 to 4 months, they reverted the decision and they brought back humans. So it's an enabler. Yes, you will see a productivity bump, but is it coming for our jobs? No. It will augment our job descriptions. It will augment our capabilities. And they say this, right? You're not going to be replaced by AI. You're going to be replaced by a human who has access to AI. So it's important for all of us to use this technology because it's an important piece in... look at somebody who does not use internet today. That person might not be relevant at a corporate setup, at a work setup. Same way, somebody who does not use an LLM might not be very relevant in the coming years. So it's important to learn how to use LLMs to augment this. But per se, a human being replaced by a large language model is not possible.
Okay. So till there, AI can never replace humans. Now let's talk legal tech for a moment. Agreement management is one area where AI is making a real tangible impact. And how do you see AI reshaping this area, especially when it comes to creating, reviewing, and managing agreements? What do you think it means for the future of legal operations and compliance?
I think across the world, legal operations are one of the more data intensive, one of the more, there's a lot of boilerplate, but then it's also too important. You don't want to create a loosely drafted agreement, and managing all that becomes a challenge. Now, even we've seen in Zoho Corp, we operate across the globe. Now, I have a labs team in Querétaro, Mexico, and I have to sign employee contracts. I have to sign compute contracts, and most of these agreements are in Spanish, right? And I don't want to put that in a tool that is built for the consumer world just so I could translate the agreement because it's Zoho Corp confidential. And so this is where AI could come in, and I use this awesome translate feature in Zoho Sign, where I can understand the context. I can sign it right without leaving the data leaving the Zoho ecosystem that my business data is already a part of. So there is a lot of boilerplate. We see that in programming. The parallel to agreement drafting is programming. We see that AI could automate a lot of boilerplate that programmers write, but the meat has to be vetted by an expert programmer. If you're not going to know programming and you're just going to vibe code, you're going to miss out the meat. The same thing with drafting agreements. You could be a legal expert and you could fill the boilerplate using an LLM, but the meat of the agreement, you have to carefully vet it word by word. And legal tech is generally, I wouldn't call it a slow adopter. I would call it legal tech has this late mover advantage, right? Any technology innovation doesn't really happen immediately in the legal world, from my observation of the technology around the globe. But it has this late mover advantage where whenever legal tech imbibes something, that's going to be rock solid, that's going to be concrete. But interestingly, paradoxically, I see that the AI is making a lot of inroads to the legal world. Again, thanks to all the boilerplate, the processes, the workflows, where AI could augment that and bring in a 10 to 30% improvement in productivity. In fact, in our internal experiments, we are building Zoho's Agent Studio. You will hear from us soon on that. The first set of experiments that we ran internally to see if we have a productivity bump was with our legal department. Because the joke is, anything that gets stuck in legal is going to take forever. Now, how can we augment that? We started deploying agents, we started deploying tools to our legal tools to see if there is a productivity improvement. And thankfully, we are happy to report that there has been a very good productivity improvement. Again, in the leagues of 10 to 30% improvement in productivity. So, AI is going to play a huge part in the future for legal tech, especially in areas like summarizing, in areas like translating, in areas where you can ask questions to the document, in areas where you can, find out those loosely worded areas and tighten it. In areas where you look at ton of past information, that's how court litigations happen, right? Where one, there is law which could be interpreted. Two, there are a bunch of cases that have happened before and a bunch of judgments that have been passed before, which you can quote to make your case stronger. Now, that needs a lot of Google searching. And like I said, think of an LLM as a summarizer. Now, if you think of LLM as a summarizer, can you summarize all the similar cases that have happened in the past? Now, there is a huge corpus. Traditionally, you were supposed to look at these bulky books. I mean, my father is a lawyer himself, so I've seen all those books and, it takes a ton of space. And you have to keep refreshing that because that has all these new updates, new versions. So he refreshes them every other year. But now, all of it is a Google search away. All of it is a, legal search away. And today, as of 2025, all of it is a LLM summary away. Now, that is the productivity boost that is going to bring it, that's going to happen to all the stakeholders in the legal world.
That was really interesting, Ram. And for final question, you must be aware that Zoho Sign has recently launched a bunch of AI-powered features like document summarization, key terms extraction, and ASIA. Out of these, what's your most favorite feature and the one you find yourself using the most?
Absolutely, Subha. In fact, I'm a huge ambassador for Zoho Sign. It's really one of the coolest Zoho apps that I love and use personally. I think I really love the ASIA part of the thing because when I'm signing an agreement, when I'm signing a contract, I can ask questions that I could have. And Sign's inbuilt AI actually beautifully summarizes what is happening. Like I also said earlier as a part of the conversation we had, I also love the translation feature because it happens right inside. And it's really impressive that an AI is able to get me to the gist of the, let's say, I sign probably 2 agreements a month, but there are people who do this over and over and over and over. So this feature will be a godsend for such people where they can just look at the key terms that are in the agreement and then zoom into areas where they would want to. Again, you just cannot sign an agreement just by looking at an AI-generated summary. But when you're doing it over and again, when you're doing it like 10 agreements a day, 5 agreements a day, and you know the drill. So there are specific places where you have to look at, you as a stakeholder will have to look at. The fact that ASIA can get me those pieces and, keep me informed, that is really helpful.
I'm so happy that you're finding Zoho Sign useful, Ram. And my favorite feature is all 3, and you should all go check out all our AI-powered features. So thank you so much, Ram, for taking your time and chatting with us today. We really enjoyed having you on, and I genuinely learned a lot today. So thank you so much.
Pleasure is mine, Shubha. I really appreciate the opportunity. Time just flew. I hope the audience also feel the same, but I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you all for watching this video. We will see you soon in our next episode, and until next time, happy signing.